Hi there, my name is Louise Stephens. I'm a business coach, an entrepreneur and founder of Live What You Love Business Coaching. No doubt you've read the headline and now you're listening to this video and you are incredibly skeptical. I totally get it, I was that person once too. However, please let me explain why this will be the most important message you will ever watch if you're looking to create a lifestyle in which you truly deserve whilst building a business and starting the career of your dreams. You may think that what I have just said is completely impossible. However, please let me explain. It is for that exact reason that has given me the motivation to share with you how I left my highly successful corporate career. I plummeted into the pits of fear where I suffered from severe anxiety, social withdrawal, suicidal thoughts and depression, to turn that around and start my dream business. And if you stay until the end, I'd love to be able to share with you exactly how I did that and how I can help you do that too. So it was about 10 years ago that I moved to Australia. I just finished tertiary education and I'd started working for a sales company. They were Australian based, and when I didn't have work over in New Zealand, they would fly me over so that I could still earn some money. So I stayed with that company for about 9 months and ultimately decided to move on because I'd met a friend during that time who was going to do some travel around the east coast of Australia, and I decided to join him. So that is what we did, and after about 3 months, I landed myself in Melbourne. Now, on arrival to Melbourne, it was not looking too good. I was broke, I had no roof to put over my head, and I had no job. Luckily, I had a cousin and her husband who lived there, who welcomed me in until I could get myself back up on my feet. And within a short period of time, that's what I did. A previous colleague of mine had just started working for Australia's largest retailer, and she shared with me how much she absolutely loved working for the company, and she thought that I would too. So although I didn't have any travel experience, I decided that I would put in an application and we would see what happened. To my surprise, I was successful in obtaining that role and very quickly started as a retail travel consultant. Through the recruitment process, they share with you how hard the role will be and how challenging you will find it in your first 12 months. Now that was with no word of a lie, because I did. I found it so incredibly hard. You see, I'd never travelled anywhere other than extensively through New Zealand from playing top amateur golf, and then the east coast of Australia, which I'd just previously done. My knowledge of the world was limited and my passion wasn't in travel, so I was finding it incredibly hard to relate to my customers, let alone book their travel for them. After about 6 months, we had a new team leader join the business, where her and I sat down and I spoke very openly about where I was at and how challenging I was finding the role. She agreed to take me under her wing if I would follow everything she suggested, and she would help me turn my business around so that I could have the successful business and income to be able to do what I wanted to do, as well as have the career progressions available to me that I wanted. Ultimately, I said yes, and within a very short period of time, I'd gone from being highly unsuccessful to turning that around almost overnight. In fact, I turned it around so quickly that I was then given the opportunity to apply for the assistant team leader of the store, which I ultimately did and was successful in obtaining. Over that period of time, we'd taken an underperforming business in total, and we turned that around, and we received a business award where we had the luxury of going to Las Vegas to celebrate our success. Just before we did that, I had applied for an internal position in the HR team as a recruitment consultant. It had always been my dream to move into that role, and because of my love for the company and the love for the people, I was so fortunate that I was successful, and I moved into that role not too long after we'd returned from our Vegas trip. Again, I absolutely loved that position. How could I not? I got to do two things that I absolutely loved. I got to talk to people about how amazing the company was that I worked for, and I got to offer people the same opportunity to come and work for that business and be able to do exactly what I had been able to do. Only, what I found is that not everyone had a smooth sail when they joined. Like me, there were underperforming consultants out there who were really struggling to find their feet. And it became my passion to be able to connect with those people, to be able to offer them advice based off my own learnings, and be able to support them turn their business around so that they too could go on to have the career opportunities that they dreamed of. Based on my love from doing this, within a couple of years of being in the recruitment team, I was so fortunate that the company decided to take an established function, which was all about teaching our people about career progression, and implement that within our state, where I was successful in obtaining that role. So for 5 years I worked as a business coach within that company. So 2 years of that was more on an ad hoc basis, and then 3 years formally, where I had the privilege to go out to our retail businesses, talk to our underperforming consultants about where they were at, be able to talk to them about my suggestions to turn their business around, and then ultimately about the opportunities for them if they were able to do that and how they could progress forward with their career. Over a period of 3 years, we were very fortunate to be recognised for a National HR Award. Based on the work in which we'd been able to do, based on the results which we'd been able to achieve, we were recognised for a National ARI Award, and in 2015, my team and I won that privilege. Whilst I was a part of building an award-winning business, I'd also taken on the challenge to transform my health, and I was creating my dream body. So what I had done is I had signed up to a 16 weeks body transformation challenge, which had turned into about 18 months in total. Why? Because I absolutely loved being a part of that community. I loved how I felt and how I looked, and I loved being able to help other people achieve that same body transformation that I had been achieving. Due to my love of being able to help people transform their health, the business owner of the Body Transformation Challenge had taken me under her wing and had become my mentor. And I was so incredibly grateful because I got to spend time with her to really be able to see what life was like outside of a corporate environment. Over the 18 months we worked together, she taught me so much. She taught me how to dream beyond my wildest dreams. She taught me that there was life outside of a 9-to-5 job. And she also taught me how to love myself in order to be able to achieve the dreams on which I'd always wanted. She taught me that my story mattered and that I could go on to do amazing things with the story in which my life was. So to the outside world, I was living the dream. I had a highly successful job and I was being paid really well. I had a body to die for and I had a lifestyle in which I'd always dreamed of. Only on the inside world, it couldn't have been more wrong. My internal world was in absolute turmoil. Not only was I trying to run a business inside a corporate company, I was also then running my business for my mentor. And I was completely overwhelmed. In fact, I was so overwhelmed that I had stopped sleeping. I went for days on end where I wouldn't go to bed because I just had so much to do. I continued to say yes to everyone and no to myself, and as a result, I was exhausted, I was overwhelmed, and I was burning out rapidly. To add to all of that, I was then introduced to a new business opportunity. Now, this business opportunity was a startup in the travel industry, to which I immediately said yes. It combined my two loves to be able to do what I love doing every day, but for myself. So it involved me coaching people on how to start and run a successful business, and it also was in the travel industry, which was an industry that I had absolutely grown to love. So when I was introduced to this, I absolutely said yes. So I was then faced with a choice because I couldn't stay in both. I either stayed in my corporate role or I took a leap of faith to continue on to work on my startup and be able to focus on that on a full-time basis with my mentor, who was then now my business partner at the time. So what did I do? Well, I decided to take a leap of faith, and after nearly 9 years, I resigned from my corporate career to invest all of my time on my new startup business. It combined two of my loves, so I really didn't know how I could go wrong. The 9-year corporate career was coming to an end and I was so completely overwhelmed. I was so grateful to the company for all the amazing opportunities that I'd had, and I was so incredibly grateful to the people that I had met along my journey and the ones who I still continue to keep in touch with because they were part of such a really big part of my life. To me, they were more like family than going to work with my colleagues every day. Upon resigning from that company, my world started to slow down a little bit because I was so overwhelmed with emotion and with gratitude. I decided that I was going to sleep more because that wasn't something I'd been having a lot of. And I started to isolate myself from the outside world so that I could start to get that much needed rest that I knew my body needed. So as a result, I started to realize that maybe my corporate career wasn't the only thing in my life that I didn't want anymore. I started to analyze every area of my world. I started to look at the person who I was becoming, and I started to question if that was the person that I wanted to continue to be. Now, as a result, I recognized that the relationship that I had with my business mentor and now business partner had turned incredibly toxic. It had gone from an amazing, inspirational, life-changing relationship to one which was emotionally abusive and had left me exhausted, burnt out, and feeling like my self-worth was absolutely zero. Based on that realization, it was like the universe had slapped me across the face. So what had gone from an incredibly inspiring friendship had gone incredibly toxic, and it was leaving me exhausted, overwhelmed, burnt out, and ultimately I had no self-worth remaining. I didn't know how I was going to break free, but I knew that somehow I was going to have to. So I sought some help from very close friends who had been a part of my decisions over the past couple of months, and they helped me break away and ultimately supported me in putting my life back together. So it may all be sounding really quite easy right now. You know, I woke up and I decided that I wanted to have a different business, so I left my career. Then I just looked at my life and I decided who I wanted to be, and I walked away from not only one but many toxic relationships because they were leaving me questioning who I was and what value I had to this world. I can tell you right now that it was not easy at all. In fact, I plummeted into fear, where I suffered from severe depression, I suffered from suicidal thoughts, severe anxiety, paranoia, and social withdrawal. I was living in an apartment by myself at the time, and I locked myself away, unable to sometimes go out my front door and face the world. My close friends, I struggled to see them because I was terrified of whether I could trust them or not, or whether they would lead me back to the toxic relationships that I had created for myself in the past. You know, I spent days just questioning who I was, wondering what I was going to do and how I was going to get myself out of such a fearful, depressed state. I stayed like this for a few weeks until one day I got up and I decided that that was not going to continue to be my life, nor was that going to be my story. I was very fortunate that I have a close friend who was an Arakan martial art teacher, and I contacted him and I let him know about the darkness that I was experiencing in my life. You know, from there we put together a plan on which I would start training with him to help me connect back to my physical self as well as my mental self, so that I would feel like I was strong enough to be able to take on the world again. So we started training once and then twice a week, and over the period of a few months, I started to feel myself putting my life back together again. I then continued to invest money in my coaching skills and in myself. I was seeing holistic healthcare practitioners in terms of Reiki and yoga and kinesiology, and bit by bit, I'd started to put my life back together, and I started to remember who I was. The only thing with all of that is that that cost me a lot of money. It cost me about $50,000, and that was $50,000 I didn't have, because when I left my job, I didn't have a backup plan, nor did I have the finances to be able to commit to a life of not working for over 12 months. So over, I guess, that period of time, as I started to go backwards in my finances, I hit rock bottom. In fact, so rock bottom that the same week that I registered my business company, I also was on the phone talking to some people about what it meant if I had to go bankrupt. I had no money, I had no way to pay my bills. I was in over $150,000 worth of debt because of the 50 grand I had to borrow for that period of time, as well as personal loans and credit cards that I had in the past. And really, I had no idea how I was going to get out of that. Again, I woke up and I decided that that was not going to be my story, because if I went bankrupt, I lost my business, I lost my vision, and I lost everything that I had worked so hard for. Again, I refused for that to be my story, and I decided to get myself out of that hole, and I sought part-time employment, even though I struggled to leave my house some days. So although at the time I was deemed unfit to work, I refused to listen to that, and I went back to work anyway. I started casually at about 10 hours a week and slowly worked my way up to 40 hours. Now that gave me the opportunity to not only be around people, but also to reconnect back to who my business self was and to feel empowered by earning money to be able to put food on my table, to be able to pay my bills and to be able to pay my rent to keep a roof over my head. Working in this role not only gave me the opportunity to feel empowered because I was earning money to be able to pay my bills and keep a roof over my head, but it also introduced me to my now business mentor, where I made the decision to continue on with my mission, and I invested $20,000, a gain that I didn't have, into myself and into my business to be able to continue to create the business of my dreams. Now, over a 2-week period, I went from having a dream business idea to having a business up and running, having a purpose, and being able to talk to clients on a daily basis. All of a sudden, I had gone from being down and out, broken, having no idea what my future was going to have in store for me, to being able to do what it was that I truly wanted to do in the capacity in which I wanted to do it. All of a sudden, everything was starting to make sense to me. So why am I telling you all of this? Well, here's the thing. After going through that whole journey all by myself, there are so many things that I wish that I knew now that I didn't know back then. And I truly feel that had I have known them back then, that I would have got to the position that I'm in today so much quicker. And that is why I want to be able to help you do exactly the same. So if you're sitting there watching this and you realize that you too are dreaming of starting your own business so that you can design your own life and have the lifestyle in which you truly believe you deserve, and you also feel that you deserve financial freedom so that you never have to worry about how you're going to pay another bill ever again, then I've designed an 8-week program specifically for you, where I am going to show you and teach you everything that I went through in order to start my dream business. But you see, here's the thing, is that there are only 10 spots available. And if you want one, then you have to apply by registering your details below. And based on that, I will be in touch with you within the next 24 to 48 hours to talk about where you're at, why it is that you're looking to start your dream business, what that means to you, and what you've done so far to be able to get yourself to where you are right now. I do like to be honest at this point in time, and that I don't take everyone. In fact, the majority of women that I talk to are not right for this program. However, if you are a good fit, then I'll be super excited because you and I can have a conversation around how it is that I can help you get your dream business up and running so that you can leave a job you hate by empowering you to become the confident and courageous woman you truly are.